Well, good afternoon, everybody. Friday afternoon. I hope everybody's doing really well. Darren Saul here, your host of Playing with Perspective, the Suspended Animation Podcast, episode 132 today. And the topic is, this is the destined year for the rise of female leaders with Tula Tzoras. How are you, Tula?
I'm really well. Thanks for having me on, Darren. And happy Christmas to everyone. A great festive season after the year we've had as well.
Absolutely. Hopefully it's going to be a great end of year break. We're all looking forward to it. And
Yeah, I
we're
bet
looking
we can
forward
all
to
use a good break.
definitely, and looking forward to a big 2021 we hope as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. But for everybody out there, I'll give you a little bit of some insight into who Tula is. Tula is the founder of Areti Goddess Events, established to empower women to change their statistics and create a balance in the world vital for our survival. She's an actor, author, speaker, and mentor coach. She has gathered a lifetime and fortune and put it into her online courses and coaching, empowering women to start their own business and thrive personally and professionally. So Tula, you're a bit of a jack of all trades there. You've done a bit of everything.
Well, yeah, I guess so. I mean, I have to say that I started off as an actor, and a filmmaker. I don't know if you remember Fest.
Yeah, of course I do.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
well, back in the day, with
Oh,
John
wow.
Olsen,
Yeah.
we were all at the Tropicana Cafe, and I was helping everybody else make their films. And John said to me, why don't you make your own film? And that's how I
Oh,
began making films. So, filmmaker, TV presenter, and then I became an author of The Truth About Acting. And
yeah.
through that, I was asked to submit articles to magazines. Then I became a speaker.
Oh, my God.
And, but the thing is that I've always been passionate about empowering people.
Yep.
And so I did a lot, and through my own journey as well, I did a lifetime of personal spiritual growth training. And, I ended up becoming a mentor and coach. And I have the good fortune of being claircognizant and an empath as well. So I can
Wow.
really feel into someone's situation and, be guided. And I've had foresight too about our new era and what we're calling the new normal.
Exactly. The new normal.
Yeah. So, so a long-winded answer to your question, being a jack of all trades, is that although for many, many years I was obsessed being an actor, as actors are,
Yep.
generally speaking, I'm
Yep.
generalizing, I am completely absorbed, starting my own company, the first company ever, age 52,
Wow.
and empowering women because we really need it.
Yep. Yep. And that's a good point. I talk to a lot of coaches on the show, and a lot of them are, particularly focused around women. So why do you empower women? Obviously, I'm sure you work with men as well, but why do you have such a passion for empowering women in particular?
Yeah, well, that's a really good question because actually I was asking for or guidance, I guess, because on how to actually integrate entertainment with empowering people. And all of a sudden, because I am fortunate to receive guidance regularly, all of a sudden I had this guidance about women. And I thought, why women specifically,
Yeah.
So I did the research and I looked at the statistics. And in Australia alone, half our middle-aged women don't have retirement funds. I'm now one of them because I put everything into starting this company.
Wow.
Um, then 1 in 3 of us is abused in intimate relationship. One woman dies every single week
Oh my God.
at the hands of an intimate partner, Darren.
Oh
And
my God.
and did you know, this is another thing I found surprising, is that more than half of our female population is obese and many with chronic health issues.
Hmm.
And I guess what I focus on more is the fact that half of our middle-aged women don't have retirement funds. A third of our grandmothers are aging in poverty, and we're still, in many cases, being paid less and
Mm.
less employable as we get older as
Yep.
well.
Yep. Yep.
So,
Wow.
so that's Australia. And then I looked at the whole world and God, it's a lot worse. So,
Wow. So you found that that's really an area that needs development and needs your attention.
yeah, absolutely.
Unbelievable. Incredible statistics.
I know.
Oh,
I
wow,
know.
wow. And so what do you think are the current beliefs, for women in the workplace and success, et cetera, et cetera? I mean, obviously, we've been speaking about women's role in the workplace and the perceived glass ceiling and all that kind of stuff for years and years and years.
Yeah.
Has it changed? Has it eased off at all? Or where do you see women's role right now and our beliefs generally towards that?
Okay. Well, I will say that to start off on a positive note, there are a lot of women's organizations that, excuse me, you mentioned, and there's also a very conscious, governments are very consciously looking at empowering women as well. So that's on a positive note, but there's a reason for that. And the reason for that is that the beliefs about women in the workplace are in, the proof is in the pudding.
Yep.
That saying, there are still not many female CEOs. And it is actually proven that when women rise to that position, they do really well. I won't say,
Sure.
I'm like, this is not against men at all, but but it's about the feminine and the masculine. And that's what I refer to in terms of balance in the world, because the feminine aspect is really collaborative, not competitive.
Definitely.
It's
nurturing.
It's nurturing. It's much more, it's very strategic and organized. Women are multidimensional. We're known for that.
Yep.
We can focus on a million things at once, and have all these balls in the air. Like getting back to beliefs, I think that in terms of women themselves and what I'm hearing and their beliefs is, yes, they're still being paid less or they're doing jobs that they hate. In fact, I think it's over 70%, 71% of people, this is prior to COVID,
wow.
hate their jobs.
Wow.
So it's obvious that women have a belief from that statistic that they can't do what they love and make money out of it, make a living out of it.
Do you feel that do you think men are threatened? Are there, percentages of men that feel threatened by, the female energy and what they can bring to a role in an organization?
Well, that's a can of worms. I would have to, you're a man. So for me, when I look at the history of women, the fact that women weren't able to vote in many cases, throughout the ages, women weren't allowed to have a voice.
Yeah.
That to me is an obvious deduction that yes, men have been threatened by women.
Yeah.
Because they were seen as the subservient, to serve the man and to obey the man. And that saying, what's that saying about the great woman, the woman behind the great man?
Yeah, for every man there's a great woman.
Behind.
Yeah.
Well, this year, as you mentioned, is the destined year for the Rise Female Leaders, and it is coming to an end.
Yeah.
But the great thing about it is that it has begun, and it's really happening. And the reason it's destined is it's numerological, astrological. From every perspective, women are now being supported to rise up.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and with the world as it is today, it's obvious where a majority of men or the masculine has brought the world and it's falling apart. Let's face it. So it's time for us women to
take over, fix it up.
Not take over, but definitely come to the fore.
It actually reminds me of one of my favorite films. There's a Greek comedy called My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Oh,
and
yes.
There's a line in that where they say, the man is the head, but the woman is the neck.
Yeah.
So as you said, behind every,
I remember that.
It's the best line. It's so true. Behind every great man is a woman, as you mentioned, because they let the man think that he's in control, but it's really the woman that's doing, behind the scenes that's calling the shots.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just think that's brilliant.
It's not to threaten men in any way, because it is about masculine and feminine. I mean, there are so many men, for instance, that have supported what I'm doing. Some great men. And it's about getting in touch with that feminine side, even if you are a man.
definitely. I mean,
But I'm working with women.
excellent, fair enough. And so obviously you work with a lot of women to help them start their own business potentially if they're not happy, maybe get promotions, succeed more in the workplace when they're really not happy doing what they're doing.
Absolutely.
Okay. And so what do you think are some of the stumbling blocks for women? What are some of their mental blocks for why they don't pursue what they want?
Well, there's one stumbling block that everything comes down to, and that's self-worth and confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the thing about our self-worth and confidence is it can be affected by our cultural upbringing, our religion,
Yep.
our relationships, so there are many factors that disempower women. And in fact, that's why the program I've created empowers women personally as well, especially with self-worth. Because a lot of women think, oh, I can't do that, or I don't know how to do that, or I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I don't deserve this. All of those negative or limiting beliefs are what stop women from, being as powerful as they really truly are.
Yep. Yep.
And that is the definition of goddess. It's about being all of who you are and loving the light and the shadow.
I love it. So that's where goddess fits in.
Yes. And in fact, Areti, which is actually my baptized name, the reason the company is called Areti Goddess Events is because Areti was a goddess in ancient Greek mythology.
Oh, okay.
So she was on one of Hercules' adventures, and there was a path that split into two, and there was good and evil, two beautiful goddesses, and Areti embodies highest potential and excellence, and that's why and goodness.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you brought that up, with respect to mindset as well, because, I think even men, and I'm, constantly thinking about this myself and listening to podcasts and reading audiobooks, because I think if we work on ourselves, males and females, if we work on ourselves, we work on our inner dialogue, we work on our mindset, our attitude, our confidence, that spills out into everything we do, not just at work, family, friends, life in general. So I think it's really important to acknowledge that.
Absolutely. And, I think I really admire the fact that you have said that, because it'll be absolutely amazing to see more men become more conscious and aware. And, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I really believe that. It's working on, sometimes a lot of the time we tend to just work on the external factors, and it's more like a band-aid rather than work on really what's going on behind the scenes, which takes work. It's harder to do, but the results are much more life-changing and positive.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, isn't it? Change is, we've seen this year rapid change.
Yep.
And change is really uncomfortable for people.
Definitely.
So, but if we don't challenge ourselves, if we just stay where we are, we can't ever hope for things to change. We have to change things.
Yeah, and we have to grow. That's the whole point of while we're here. We have to grow. What's the point of being here for all these years if we don't change?
Yeah.
Oh my God, what a waste of time.
Absolutely. What's the point of complaining if we don't do anything about it?
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So tell us more about how you work exactly and your courses and your coaching. I'd love to learn more, and I'd love to.
Okay, thank you. So basically what I did, Darren, because I had my own journey. In fact, I was on a roller coaster I couldn't get off up until 6 years ago. Right. Had I not gone into personal and spiritual growth and training and spent a fortune on that, I wouldn't be thriving today as I am, and I wouldn't be here. Literally wouldn't be here. Cool. So what I did was I gathered all the best tools from that lifetime, what took me a lifetime, and I've put it all into the Areti Goddess online program.
Love it.
So basically, I've developed, I can honestly say this program is my legacy.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm really proud of it.
I can see that. I can see the smile on your face. Emanating through the screen.
Yeah. So what I've done is I've put it, a whole lot, because I believe it takes a combination of methods to actually transform.
Yep.
And in fact, as a coach, I work on two levels. Like where there are destructive patterns, I work on clearing those, but I work on another level too, which is creating new neural pathways and a brand new reality, a brand new life, a brand new you. And in the Areti Goddess online program, it's about empowering, boosting your self-worth, loving your image, styling for success, then healing and transforming relationships all around. And of course, the most important relationship is the one we have with ourselves.
Yeah, very good.
And also, you know, determining the difference between love and love addiction, which is something most people fall into, you know. And then we have super health for the mind, body, and spirit, so that, you know, you can be strong and powerful and healthy to succeed. Then we have access to your purpose and passion to do what you love.
Love it.
So removing any blocks you have and accessing your inspiration. Then it's simple instructions to start a business.
Great.
A, B, C, right?
Perfect.
Then we've got marketing and branding with the experts, with guest expert tips, public speaking and presentation masterclass.
Wow.
Oh no, who's that? Is that you or me?
I think that's yours.
Oh no.
That's okay. That's all right.
Sorry about that. I actually did Facebook everyone saying
We'll send them the voicemail. It's all right.
Yeah. So the public speaking and presentation masterclass, because of course, if you're passionate about something, you have to be able to talk about it. It's people's number one fear, right?
Yep.
And then we have your head turning pitch.
Yep.
So pitching and the levels of pitching, and your publicity images, the do's, the don'ts. So it's the full package.
Wow, this is very extensive.
It is. It's 40
Extremely extensive.
lessons and heaps of bonus downloads, guest expert tips. It really over delivers. Like I've put everything into it. And with the coaching, I've just recently established the Goddess Club, which is group online coaching. So, you know, all of the program has tips that you can practice, but of course, setting goals, sometimes we let them go. So it's good to be accountable and empower each other along the way. So group online coaching with the Goddess Club. And then we have events as well, where we come together and, you know, network, collaborate. So many great collaborations
God, that sounds great.
Have been put together. Yeah. And I've got a couple of great Christmas gifts, but I'll wait for that. Or should
awesome.
I?
Okay, well, let's chat about those at the end.
Yes.
Awesome.
Okay.
But, so your coaching or your online courses, is it purely just pre-recorded online, or do you do some work one-on-one with you via Zoom or whatever as well?
The online program is pre-recorded.
Yep.
So people can do it in their own time, and it's in short bursts as well, because we know how busy everyone is.
Yep.
And the online coaching is group, but women, and well, it's not just women, but mainly women can book one-on-one coaching as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what kind of methodologies do you use? Have you studied NLP? Have you done any other type of work? Hypnotherapy?
Yeah.
Am I opening up a can of worms here?
Oh yeah, well, as I said, it's a combination of things. Like I'm a Reiki master myself, but I also, you know, I do a lot of inner child work, some NLP, some spiritual release work, energetic release work. I do a lot of visualization and a lot of you know, with meditations as well. So it's very holistic, but it's also cognitive, because there are some cognitive behavioral therapy. There are cognitive ways that we can change our thought patterns, you know.
Okay, I love it.
And
so
of course,
kind of
all
working,
that takes time and practice.
with the conscious and the subconscious as well.
Yes, and the energetic.
And the spiritual level.
Yes.
Oh, I love it. Fantastic.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would love to hear a little story. Have you got a story or an example or a case study for us about how you took a person or a group of people from point A to point B and show us the transformation? Being confidential, of course.
Yeah, I would love to. I don't know how I would show you the transformation, but there are specifically because it's all new, I can recall at least 3 or 4 women who have actually really, really transformed through doing the program along with the coaching.
Love it.
And you can actually see those testimonials online. I've got some really great testimonials, quite a few of them actually. But the main thing I find with women is that women who have done the program with coaching as well is relationships and self-worth confidence have been the 2 major blocks.
Yep.
And then they've blossomed, because they've been able to heal those parts. They've been able to blossom and free themselves and do what they want to do.
Yeah, it's fascinating to me how often we hear that, that the fact that people have issues with confidence and self-worth. It's just, I hear this all the time, especially these days. It's just fascinating.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, none of us escape it because it happens in the first 7 years of life. When we absorb everything to the back of our brains, the limbic region, like little sponges.
Yep.
And unfortunately, what we tend to, that's why I do a lot of inner child work, because what we tend to do is we tend to take those feelings as the truth. And for some reason, we focus on the negative. So, so that's where it all begins. And then we perpetuate patterns according to that.
Right. So in the first 7 years is where a lot of those self-limiting beliefs are formed. Is that right?
Yeah.
And then what about later on? If your environment is a particular way, can't it mold you still, or it's less likely that that can happen?
Well, what happens later on is because of that programming, it's like that fight or flight response that we have. Everybody has that. So, and it's also that addiction to drama and chaos. And, most people actually suffer from that.
Yep.
So what happens is because it's programmed, our brains are programmed a certain way, then of course they are influenced by our circumstances and who we're surrounded by, but we do tend to attract and create those kinds of situations.
Yeah. So in other words, we're reacting and dealing and looking for everything through the filter that has been formed in the first 7 years.
And I actually have, on that, I have very, very substantial proof. It's because, and what I'm referring to is that filter that you mentioned, right? So basically we have what we know and we can only recognize what we know.
Yep.
So I've noticed this when I've, I headed a global humanitarian project, which was empowering to people. 2, I ran for the seat of Sydney federal election in 2016, not because I wanted to be a politician. These friends of mine roped me into it and they said, well, it's this small independent party taking politics online for the first time, publishing every bill, putting it up for the vote, representing people's majority. I thought, wow, that's empowering to people, right?
Yeah.
So I ran for the seat of Sydney. I've also, led certain projects where, focusing on solutions. And what my personal experience has been, whenever I've placed a solution in front of people, their eyes just glaze over. They don't recognize it. They don't hear it.
Wow.
They don't see it. So, and that's because it's not in our DNA. It's not in our programming.
Right.
So, yeah.
So we're looking for the drama and the issues rather than the solution in a way.
Yes. And
we're looking for all the complications.
Exactly. And COVID is actually a really great example because naturally everyone went into anxiety and panic.
Yep.
People lost their lives, lost their jobs, lost their homes. And, I was grateful to receive guidance about where we're heading. And I basically, because I broadcast regularly on YouTube, right? So with tips and everything. So what I've been broadcasting to focus on is actually what we can create with what we have and how grateful we can now be. Because for one thing, we have dropped out, a lot of us have dropped out of the rat race, which we hated.
Definitely.
Right?
Yep.
Now we have a chance to perhaps focus on something we'd love to do, especially online. It doesn't cost anything, you know?
Absolutely. Like, perspective is everything.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I listened to a lot of podcasts, and I heard a great saying the other day on another podcast. It was a quote by a famous spiritual teacher, Wayne Dyer. You know Wayne Dyer?
I love him.
Wayne Dyer, years ago. And apparently, and I used to read a lot of Wayne Dyer, but I couldn't remember this particular quote until I heard it again the other day. And he said, "Don't believe everything you think."
Yeah.
I thought, wow, that's profound.
Or see or hear, like the
See
news.
or hear, there you go.
Like I've been encouraging people not to watch the news, not to focus on the negative, but even perhaps to go into fantasy, imagination, see what you can create. Because the thing about crisis is it's an opportunity for growth. Look at all the people in the past through crisis who have made millions.
Definitely. Yep.
You
There's always
know,
opportunities in
they
everything.
have focused on what they can create.
Yep, absolutely. What can you do rather than what can't you do? Let's think about what we can do.
Yeah.
You know, what choice do we have, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah, so true.
Exactly.
Well done. I love it. I mean, I could talk about this stuff forever.
Yeah, me too.
So now tell us, you've got a few great takeaways to leave the audience with today, have you?
Okay.
Some special gifts.
Oh, yeah. Well, I cannot think of a better gift to give our goddesses than the Areti Goddess Guide. And they can actually download that free. And the reason that is so good is because it's a daily companion and it works on creating those new neural pathways for your best life. So you can really use it, and that's a free gift.
Lovely.
Also free, goddesses can access how to silence your inner critic and boost your confidence. That's free. And the whole program, My Legacy, which is worth over nearly $7,500 for Christmas to set women up for success next year, they can now access it for $47.
Whoa, no way. What?
The whole shebang.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And how do they do that? I'm going to put all the links in the show notes for everybody, but if they just say they heard it on the podcast, or how do you manage that?
Okay, so basically for the free confidence boost in the program, it's aretigoddessevents.com.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the Areti Goddess Guide, they can go to aretigoddessevents.com/home, and they'll find the Areti Goddess Guide there, and they have instant access.
Wow. Okay. Fantastic. Sensational. That's a deal and a half.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a Christmas present.
I know, because I really do. I mean, I'm really passionate about empowering women, and you know, I can't think of a better gift to give them.
That's awesome. And I must admit, like when I was listening to you go through the different modules, I thought, wow, this is really extensive. Like you've really covered a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And the great thing is that, well, for me, is that a lot of other online courses don't have that particular format or formula. Yep. So this is a specific formula.
Awesome. And only for women, or what happened? Can men buy this as well, or is it really
if they don't mind the reference to goddess all the time.
Fair enough. There you go. We can all access our inner goddess. Even
God, yeah.
We've all got an inner goddess within us somewhere. Fantastic, Tula. Yeah. Well, Tula, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you.
It's gone so quickly. Thank you so much, Darren. Thank you for having me as well.
Thank you. And I've definitely learned a lot, and I think your program would be incredibly useful and valuable and extensive. So everybody, please check that out. And I'll put all the details in the show notes for everybody. But is there anything else you want to leave us with before we finish up before Christmas?
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Love it.
Thank you so much, Darren.
Pleasure. Well, everybody have a fantastic weekend. We've got 1 or 2 more episodes before Christmas, so hang tight, and we'll see you very, very soon. So Darren Saul and Tula signing off, episode 132, Playing with Perspective, the Suspended Animation Podcast. Bye for now.